Jon Goldsberry played his high school ball at Heritage Hills, went on to Purdue, spent some time in the NFL with the Bills, the Buccaneers, and the Bears, and will be hosting a football camp, a youth football camp out at Heritage Hills in just a couple of weeks. And he joins us now on the Menard Studio Hotline to talk about that youth football camp. Jon, good afternoon. Appreciate the time. Tell us a little bit about this camp. When's it coming up? How can people get involved in this thing?
Well, first off, thanks a lot for having me, guys. I appreciate the support, and hopefully, this camp will bring some great opportunities to some young kids in our area. What I've got going on, I've got 2 camps going on at Heritage Hills High School on June 19th and June 20th. June 19th will be for middle school and high school athletes, and June 20th will be for K through 6 kids. And it's not just for Heritage Hills, Santa Claus, Indiana, Lincoln City, Indiana area kids. It's for everybody. We got kids coming from Evansville, Gibson County, Jasper, you name it. They're coming from everywhere. We even had some kids coming from Hancock County. So it's going to be a great opportunity for kids around all of southern Indiana and some of Kentucky. And what I've got going on is I've got about 10 to 15 guys coming back that are former teammates of mine, or even guys that I've played against in the NFL, in Division I football. We've got some Canadian League guys, but guys that have made it to that next level and succeeded and know what it takes, and that can come in and share their experiences and their stories and interact with these local kids.
Well, Jon, you say it's a 2-day camp. And how do people sign up for this, and where can they get some info on it? Do you have a website, Facebook, anywhere that they can kind of read about this a little more, that parents maybe that want to get their kids involved?
Absolutely. So the name of the camp is the Southern Indiana Football and Life Skills Youth Summer Camp. You can find us on Facebook. And then also go to www.jongoldsberry.com, and that's JON Goldsberry.com. Every registration's online. All of the forms are online. You can see the coaches that I've got coming in online, the schedule, and everything else. Another cool part of this year, this will be our 3rd year doing this camp. And we've changed it a little bit this year to incorporate a K through 6 camp as well, because previously it's only been middle school and high school. But we've got one day where the middle school and high school can come in for 2 sessions, so they're still getting 2 good practices in, and we'll have lunch in between, and we'll have guys speak about nutrition and recruiting and social media, injuries, how to rehab. That's all part of the game. Come in and share their stories, experiences, and let these kids understand, what it takes to be great at the sport. And we've got Gatorade coming in to sponsor, which is a really big deal. They're going to come in, and Paragon Marketing is going to set up all the Gatorade booths to bring in all the free products for the kids to try out. We've got, for the K through 6 camp on June 20th, we've got the St. Louis Rams organization coming up with the NFL Play 60 camp to host that as well. And just so everybody knows, the NFL Play 60 is that's the NFL's movement to fight childhood obesity. It's really, it's all about fitness, exercise, having fun through a football channel, and boys and girls are welcome to that camp. So that's a high level what we've got going on, but it's going to be a great experience for the local kids.
Jon Goldsberry joins us on the Menard Studio Hotline. It's Ford and O'Brien, ESPN Evansville 1053 online, ESPNEvansville.com, talking about his Southern Indiana Football and Life Skills Camp coming up at Heritage Hills in just a couple of weeks. And, Jon, I assume that as you were young and playing the game and getting into the world of football, you more than likely attended some of these camps. For maybe parents that are listening and want to get their kids involved in this, talk about how it helped you with your playing career at the high school level and beyond.
Well, it all boils down to just working harder, putting in that extra time. And summer camps are a great place to get better. Everybody shows up in the fall and during 2-a-days, for that 2-hour practice with coach and all your teammates and everything else. And yeah, you're going to get better in those situations, but you've got to find a way to do more than everybody else. And you've got to find a way to do everything a little bit better than everybody else if you want to move on to that next level. And that's what this camp's really all about. It's something close to home. It's a lot of great guys that have been through the trenches, have found a way to succeed, and And it's all about us coming and sharing those experiences so these kids understand what it takes. And, everybody shows up on a regular basis, and you got to be able to go out and do basic things in your backyard or at the park, or, if you have access to your field, and do those things on your own time and put in that extra effort, whether it's 5 minutes a day or an extra hour a day, just really honing in on those skills and driving yourself to be better each and every day so you stand out among the others. That's what we're going to push. Now, these other camps that are out there, the Bishop Dullahans, the DePaul, Purdue, IU, Notre Dame, all these different camps, they're all great. And I tell kids, all the time, even when I speak about my camp, I tell them straight up, I don't care if you come to my camp or you go to another camp, but find a way to get better this summer, because once 2-a-days roll around, it's too late. You got to be ready ahead of time. And that way when you show up in July, August, September, things are easy for you. You got to do the work ahead of time.
I don't miss 2-a-days at all. I'll be honest with you. I haven't had one since I was like 17 years old. And if I ever get another one in my life, especially in Southern Indiana, it would be too soon, I think. But John, the one thing too that people need to know, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this camp, you nor any of your coaches or former players or anybody you bring in to help with this camp walks out with a dime. This is all non-for-profit, correct?
That is correct, yeah. And like I said, my goal is to bring the opportunity to the community. There is a fee to the camp, but all of those fees pay for insurance, T-shirts. I pay for the coaches to fly in, and I pay for their hotel. That way they don't have to pay out of pocket. I want it to be easy for these coaches to come in, spend a weekend, away from their family, away from their job, away from their team, whatever they're doing at this point in their life. Some of them are current players, some are former players, but I want it to be easy for them to come in because they make the camp, they make the experience. And on the other side of it, I want these kids to have an opportunity to walk into a camp on a football field, into an auditorium, listen to these guys speak and listen to them teach these drills, because you don't get that opportunity. When I was at Heritage Hills, Ken Dilger came from our high school, and I think I remember him coming back once or twice and speaking to us, and that rush you get when that NFL guy, the big time guy, is in the locker room is just unbelievable. It gives you a lot of motivation. It inspires you, and to have 10 to 15 guys that have made it to that level come to one place for 2 days, it's just a great opportunity, and I try to build on it each year. I think it's my way of giving back. There's the game has given so much to me, and I want to be able to give it back to the kids.
Well, you bring up Ken Dilger, and Ryan and I were talking about this a little earlier before the show, and actually when we opened the show, it came up a little bit. Heritage Hills is, it's no secret, Lincoln City is a smaller area. Heritage Hills is a smaller area-based school. But you got names like Ken Dilger, Jay Cutler, Jon Goldsberry, guys like that have reached that pinnacle level of the NFL. And all of you guys have one thing in common, and that's playing for a coach by the name of Bob Clayton. You've had a lot of coaches in your career, but, there's something about Bob Clayton. Tell us for a minute what he brings to the field as a young player that is learning and soaking in everything.
It's real simple. It's motivation. He's got a knack for motivating young kids, young adults, and finding ways to keep them excited, enthusiastic, and those are two huge components to winning football games. You can be great at executing and everything else, but if you don't love the game, if you're not excited and ready to go every single day, if you don't love the sport, it's tough to win when it comes down to the nitty gritty. So, that he knows how to motivate. He's a great mentor, knows the game, understands the strategy behind it. But for the most part, the players strap on the helmets. The players make the plays. They make the hits, and he gets you prepared for it.
So, you got any good stories about the time you goofed up and his reaction?
There's nothing I can say on the radio, that's appropriate. But I'll tell you one thing. I got the point.
I appreciate you keeping it PC. I appreciate that. Jon Goldsberry, our guest. It's Ford and O'Brien, ESPN Evansville, 1053 online, ESPNEvansville.com. John hosting a youth football camp at Heritage Hills coming up in a couple of weeks. Also played his college ball at Purdue and spent some time in the NFL with the Bills, the Bucks, the Bears. And Jimmy had mentioned it just a second ago that, you played some of your high school ball with Jay Cutler, and that's a name that gets thrown out a lot, obviously, when you reach that level of the NFL and you're at that position of the quarterback. The spotlight gets much more intense on you. Do you think that Jay gets a bad rap? You may know him a little bit better than most people just that sit and watch the game. Does he get a bad rap the way he's portrayed in the media?
Yeah, definitely. I think he does get a bad rap. He's always been a great competitor, a great athlete, and he's shown great signs of that throughout his years in the NFL so far. He's had some issues with injuries and obviously a lot of coaching changes and things like that. And being the quarterback in the NFL, you got a lot of pressure, you get a lot of attention, and if you don't win, that's the first place they start. It's either the head coach or the quarterback. Where do we start? Take your pick. Jay is not the type of guy that, nothing against you guys, but he just doesn't, he's not the type of guy that loves to be in the media all the time, and you can see that, and people see that, but unfortunately, perception is reality, and he needs to probably smile a little more on TV and things like that to help that out, but most importantly, you got to win football games, and if you look back at the Bears last season, they've got Brandon Marshall, they've got Matt Forte, they've got Cutler. They've got Pro Bowl guys all around them. They've got great players, and they just can't win football games. And like I said, everybody's going to point at the coach and at the quarterback, but the bottom line is, the Bears have a lot of work to do. It's across the board. It's in the locker room. There's leadership issues. There's guys not showing up on Sundays to play like they really can. And football's a team sport. If everybody's not clicking on, if all the pistons aren't going at the same time, you're not going anywhere.
I do want to ask you, just because it's the hot topic of the day, quick thoughts on this whole Deflategate nonsense.
That's a great word, nonsense. I've got a real problem with it from, I've got a problem with it from both sides. Integrity is a big part of the game. If there was some rules being broken and they can prove it, then there should be some punishment. Absolutely. My problem is probably. Mm-hmm. That word.
Yep.
Probably generally. Two words, actually. There's a lot of gray area there. They haven't shown any proof that he's done it. It's all kind of hearsay and basing it off of some text messages that didn't include Tom, and it's just a gray area, and it bugs me. It is what it is. I think it's been blown out of proportion. I don't think it affected the game at all. Obviously, if anything, when they aired the balls back up, according to them, the scoreboard got a lot worse for the Colts. So,
yes, it did.
But I've got a couple issues with it. There's a lot of gray area. And then the other thing that really bugs me, Rob Ninkovich is a great friend of mine. Good buddy, teammate, former teammate from Purdue, has worked his butt off to get where he's at. He's got a Super Bowl championship. And now, does it have an asterisk? Does it not? I don't know. But, it just really bugs me when you got a group of guys working that hard and then something like that happens. And there's really no proof, but, now it's been tainted a little bit.
Well, you told me something when we were talking earlier today to set up this interview, and I asked you about football with a pound or so out of it, that one of the big things everybody was throwing out there is how New England is always toward the top of the league in least amount of fumbles. And I asked you, as a fullback, does that make a ball better to grip? And what was your answer? Because I thought it was great.
I have no idea. I don't know. They could hand me. I think I told you they could hand me a boulder and I'd carry it around. My job is to hold that ball or whatever, don't drop it regardless of the circumstances. It doesn't matter how blown up it is or how flat it is. It doesn't matter. It's kind of like the weather, you do your job regardless of the situation. And, like I said, it's a gray area. I don't know what all's going on. I don't know that anybody really knows what all went down, but it is what it is at this point. I guess we'll see what the appeal brings, and hopefully it works out for the Patriots, for Rob Ninkovich at the very least.
Jon Goldsberry, former player out at Heritage Hills, getting ready to kick off his annual Southern Indiana football and life skills camps here in just a couple of weeks. If you want more information on that, you can visit his website, JonGoldsberry.com, Jon Goldsberry, all one word, .com. John, great stuff. We appreciate the time. Best of luck with the camp here in a couple of weeks.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate your support.